Welcome back to Diary of a Speed Reader. Today's book is The Long Space Age by Alexander MacDonald, and I'm giving it 5 stars. This book, more than any other book this week, gives you a sense for what the economics are in space travel. It talks about how hard it is to fund it and what it takes to get people to donate their resources toward it. And it's really fascinating, as it doesn't just talk about the current period, it goes all the way back through history. I'm going to give you 3 takeaways that I found fascinating. Before we do that, I wanted to remind you that I have started a YouTube channel, and after the 100 days is done, that's most likely where I'll be posting. If you are interested in continuing to hear about Diary of a Speed Reader after the 100 days, it would mean a lot to me if you would subscribe. Now, let's get into what makes this book so fascinating. This book talks about the fact that military spending is actually one of the newer forms of spending that is coming into play with respect to space. And in this regard, it talks about the fact that before you have even this ability to go up into the heavens, you have observatories, which are primarily privately funded. Now, what I love about this book is it gives you both the numbers on an adjusted basis for inflation, but also the numbers as a percentage of GDP, so you can get a sense for exactly what it meant for private entrepreneurs to put the money into these programs. Now, this is the first book that has a more serious discussion about how fundraising actually happens. It's not just the top 20 people donate $1 billion because they're rich. Instead, he talks about what it took in the past, what types of people were willing to donate, and then people that specifically acted as fundraisers. Even in getting the military funding, that was driven by a single person, and that person had the vision to be able to latch on to a popular War of the Worlds radio show that scared the pants off of everybody. But also, subsequently, there were a lot of trade-offs that were made in the types of research that were going to happen. Still, as we enter the modern age and we think about how much still needs to happen in order to move the ball forward, this is a very, very important book on how it gets done. The last thing really has to do with the idea of what it really means for corporations to be taking over the torch and driving the experiments and the innovation within space. And on one hand, you have this idea that it's going to mean space travel. Pretty much all except for one of the private companies that has arisen is focused in that direction, and their goals are different, which is really fantastic relative to a single national goal that changes every 4 years depending on what's going on in Congress. So those are all real huge positives. Additionally, some of the concerns about jobs are not there on the corporate side. They're going to actually approach all of that different, and in some cases potentially better. Perhaps the most intriguing thing has to do with the focus on reduction in cost and how they intend to go about doing that. Loud and clear in this book, as well as many others, it's going to take an entire army of people, an entire population of people to get us into space, and the potentiality and the rewards are extreme for all of society. Speed reading stats. This book is 258 pages. It took me 45 minutes to read. If you'd like to learn more about speed reading, please feel free to comment below. Otherwise, thank you for liking, sharing, or otherwise supporting this effort. I will see you tomorrow.